Good afternoon. My name is Daniel Barr, and today I'm going to be talking about the Mattel Corporation. Now, the Mattel Corporation over the last 4 years has been hit with a couple different lawsuits. And these lawsuits I want to explain today, and what I did was I passed out some sheets that each one of you should have, if you'd like to follow along briefly on my presentation. Now, what I'd like to do is I'd like to first start off with telling you a little bit about Mattel, and then I'm going to get into the lawsuits itself, give you a synopsis exactly where we are right now with the lawsuits, and then I'd like to finalize and tell you where Mattel is actually headed in the future. Now, Mattel Incorporated was incorporated in 1948. They are the designer and the manufacturer of all different types of toys, such as Barbie, Hot Wheels, their new sensation Dora the Explorer, and Thomas the Train. Now, over the past 4 years, Mattel has been hit with several different lawsuits. One of the lawsuits that I'd like to talk about today is the lawsuit from MGA. Now, MGA is another entertainment company, and they are currently suing Mattel for the rights of Bratz dolls. Now, what happened is the Bratz dolls are very similar to the Barbie doll. Now, the only difference between the way the Bratz dolls are formed and the Barbie dolls is that the Bratz dolls have a punk rock looking outfit. Now, it's these outfits that are concerns over from Barbie to the Bratz dolls. Now, some of the Barbie dolls have been using these type of punk rocker outfits, and what's happening is MGA has claimed that Mattel has used over 8 different employees to actually come to their private toy shows that they have for the different toy manufacturers. And what they're doing, or they're claiming is that these employees saw all the hidden secrets and found out all the background of the MGA Bratz dolls, and that they used this doll to claim dominance in the toy industry. Now, of course, Mattel said that this is ludicrous and that this wasn't going to hold water. So Mattel actually put a countersue against MGA. Now, what their countersue is that 8 different employees that worked for Mattel had documents that they actually took from Mattel unauthorized. They were stolen documents, and these 8 employees actually went and worked for MGA, and that's where they got the idea to design the outfits that Mattel is claiming that they already came up with. Now, the courts itself heard this case. This case went on for several years, and the courts found that Mattel was actually the correct in saying that the documents that Mattel had were documents that were not supposed to leave Mattel, and that the designer for the design of Barbie clothes was the same designer who designed the Bratz dolls clothing, and that Mattel was offered, or Mattel got $100 million in this lawsuit. Now, MGA, of course, is claiming that the employees that came to MGA were not with documents, and that everything that they told the employees before they came were to leave everything at Mattel and come to MGA with an open mind. Now, the appeal court, who actually heard this case, found that MGA did have legitimate evidence that they did back up, and that they found that the employees may not have brought documents over to MGA with them, and because of that, this court overturned the original case for the $100 million, and they are currently still in court right now as of January 11, and this is actually predicted to go for another year or two to retry this. So that's where we stand with that. Now I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the lead paint scare. Now, originally the lead paint scare happened in 2007. Now, what this was the manufacturers, for all toy manufacturers, they actually have their toys all produced in China. And with this, the China companies are all mandated from the United States to have specific ways that they make toys. Now, what happens is each one of these dolls that are manufactured in China have a certain paint level on them. Now, each doll that's produced is allowed to have 0.06% of lead inside that paint. Any additional percentage or any other kind of lead that's in that paint can be considered dangerous. Now, what the consumers agency found was that the paint that was in this particular doll, if it has above 0.06%, it could cause neurological damage in children if it's eaten. Now, China was claiming that the reason why this happened was because Mattel had a faulty design. And this design that Mattel produced was allowing them to put additional lead inside the paint, and because of that, there was a scare that happened. Now, Mattel, on the other hand, they claimed that the Chinese manufacturers were not up to par, and they were not doing as exactly what the designs were telling them to do. Well, the Chinese government found this appalling, and they actually went to the United States Supreme Court and were very, very unhappy with the way that they were treated. And the reason why is a lot of different people around the United States and around the world were actually boycotting not only Mattel toys, but every toy that came out of China. Now, China was actually able to prove to the United States Supreme Court that it was a design flaw from Mattel. And Mattel, not wanting to argue, issued a formal apology to China and let them know that they are concerned about the safety of children, and that was their #1 priority. So what Mattel did was they actually took 19 million products and brought them back as a recall voluntarily, just because they didn't want any kind of safety problem to happen. Now, since 2007, all the designs and manufacturers are going through China, and Mattel actually has people on site in the Chinese manufacturing facilities to make sure that everything is being done correctly. After it leaves China, the doll then comes back to the United States and it's tested again. Now, once that test happens, everything is then produced and shown to the consumer safety products before it's actually sent to the stores in which you were able to buy them. So with that 19 million product recall, Mattel was also hit with a fine, and that fine was $2.3 million from the Consumer Safety Association. Now, Mattel, they like to take their problems head on, so what they did was they were more than happy to pay that. Their main concern was the safety for the children, and because of that, they were actually able to come out on top, because they use that as an advertising campaign to say, hey, look, we made a mistake, we apologize, and this is what we're going to do to correct it. So that's where we are on the lead paint. And just to recap that, I just want to let everybody know that since 2007 has happened, we have not had a lead paint scare in the United States or anywhere else in the world from any toy manufacturer since that lawsuit took place. In closing, I'd like to tell you that Mattel has been through many different highs and lows. They've taken on the different consumers, they've taken on retailers, they've taken on governments, and they've met all their problems head on. They have not steered away from any problems, and they've actually increased their profits by doing so. They've come out with a new line with their Barbie dolls, and their Barbie dolls are working closely with the toy manufacturers as well as movie manufacturers in coming up with different designs for those different dolls going forward in the future. Now, with that said, Mattel is actually looking to profit almost 14% in the year 2011. Now, that's an increase of about 8% more than any other toy manufacturer. So with that said, I want to just conclude by saying that those are a little bit about the lawsuits, a little bit about where Mattel is going in the future, and a little bit about where Mattel has been. So at this point, I'd like to open it up to the audience and ask if there's any questions that you might have. Please feel free to ask at this point. And if there's anything else that I can answer for you in regards to any other Mattel questions that you might have, please use this time wisely and follow up with your questions at this time.